Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. First of all, thank you so much for supporting my channel. If you haven't subscribed yet to my channel, then please do so to get early notifications of my latest videos. My goal is to cover all topics related to the MM module on this channel, so your support through likes and subscription will motivate me to create more such content. Now let's get to the today's topic, that is the return delivery process in SAP MM module. So in today's video, we'll see what is a return delivery process, how do we post a return delivery in SAP, what all scenarios are there where return delivery is required, and how we do those steps to post the return delivery to the vendor. So first of all, let's understand what is a return delivery. So whenever you receive any material from the vendor, you do goods receipt. Now it may happen that you receive the material and then the material gets rejected. That is, the material is not fit for use, or the material is not matching the specifications which was there in the purchase order. Then in that case, you will have to return this material to the vendor. Okay, you'll have to return back the material to the vendor, and then vendor will supply you the correct material. So this returning the material to the vendor against a GR is called the return delivery process. So as in SAP you post the goods receipt, so you will be posting the return delivery also. And this return delivery can be posted at various stages of the material life cycle. That is, you receive the material in two-step process, or you receive material in one-step process, or you receive the material and do the MIRO transaction, or you receive the material and issue that material also to your plant. In all those cases, it might happen that you need to return the material to the vendor. So in today's video, we'll see all the scenarios where return delivery is required and what all steps we have to do to post that return delivery. Okay, so let's get started. So in our first step, what we'll do is we'll post a single step goods receipt, and then we'll see how we can post a return delivery. Okay, so first of all, what we'll do is we'll create a purchase order. So we'll go to T code ME21N. Then we'll enter the vendor code, then the header details, then we'll enter a material code here. Okay, so let's say we are buying some laptops. We'll enter the plant and we'll enter some quantity here. Let's say that we are buying 10 laptops, and then we'll save this purchase order. So you can see the purchase order has been saved. Now let us do a goods receipt for this purchase order. So what we'll do is we'll go to T code MyGo, and this time we are going to do a single step receipt. So we'll go to goods receipt, then we'll enter the purchase order, and then we'll enter movement type as 101 to do the single step goods receipt. Okay, now we'll enter the storage location here and we'll post. So you can see the GR document has been posted. So now let's see the stock of the material. So we'll go to MMBE and we'll enter the material code and plant and we'll execute. So you can see that we have received 10 laptops in our stock. Now let's say that after you have received these 10 laptops, you have found that 2 of the laptops are faulty. So after preparing the GR, you found that 2 of the laptops are not working. Okay, they are faulty and they need to be sent back to the vendor so that vendor replaces these laptops with the correct ones. Okay, so now you have to post a return delivery against these 10 laptops. So how we can do that? So we have to go to MIGO, and here we have to select return delivery option. So this is very important that when you have to post a return delivery, you have to select this option. So if you select this option, you have to enter a material document number, and here you will enter the 101 document number, that is the GR document number against which the laptop has been received. So to get that number, we'll go to the purchase order display, and in the purchase order history we can see this is our GR document. Okay, so we'll have to copy this and we'll enter this material document here. Then we'll press enter. Now if you go to the where tab, you will see the system has automatically selected movement type as 122. Okay, so this is the return delivery movement type for movement type 101. That is, if you have posted a goods receipt document with movement type 101, and if you post a return delivery, the movement type that will be picked by the SAP automatically will be 122. Okay, so you have to remember this. Then in the quantity tab, I can change the quantity here. Okay, I can change the quantity to the quantity which I am returning to the vendor. Okay, so let's say that I am returning 2 laptops. So I'll enter 2 here. I'll click on item OK, and then I'll post. Now you see, for these movement types like 122, which is a return delivery, you have to enter reason for movement. Okay, so if you go to the where tab, you will find this reason for movement field here. So you take a drop down here, and here you can select these reason for movements. Now this reason for movements are configurable. You can configure it in SAP. At the end of the video, I'll show how you can configure these reason for movements. So let's say we are selecting poor quality, and then we'll post. Now let's display this document. Now if we go to the FI document, you can see that an accounting document has been created, simply a reversal of a GR document. In the GR document, what you have a debit entry in the inventory GL and a credit entry in the GRIR. Similarly, for return delivery, you have a credit entry in the inventory GL, you can see here, and a debit entry in the GRIR. Okay. So this shows the system that out of 10 laptops, 2 have been returned to the vendor. Now let's say the vendor resupplies you these 2 laptops. The vendor supplies you with the correct laptops. So what you will do is, again you have to do the GR, but this time what you will do is, you will go to MIRO, and then you have to select subsequent delivery. You can see here, subsequent delivery means that there is a delivery happening against a return delivery document. Okay, you had posted a return delivery, and then vendor is subsequently supplying you the correct item. So we'll select subsequent delivery, and here you have to enter the 122 document number, that is the document number which you posted while posting the return delivery process. Okay, then we'll press enter. So system will copy everything from the return delivery document. So it will copy the quantity which was there in the return delivery document, and then here you can click on item OK, and then you can post this document. Now what this posting will do, this will actually create a GR. You can see here system has automatically taken the movement type as 101. So what you are doing now is, you are posting a subsequent delivery against a return delivery document, which amounts to a GR, and that is why system automatically selected 101 here, and you can click on post. Now if we display this document, then this will be a simply GR document. If you go to FI document, you can see, if you go to the accounting document, this is simply a GR document for 2 laptops for 2 quantity. As you can see, 10,000 was per unit price. So you can see 20,000 has been posted in the inventory GL as a debit entry, and here you have a credit entry in the GRIR account. So this amounts to a simple GR of 2 laptops. So what we have done is, first we posted a GR document for 10 laptops. Then we posted a return delivery for 2 laptops, and when vendor supplied it back, then we posted a subsequent delivery of those 2 laptops. Okay, we can verify this in the purchase order history also. If you go to ME23N, then in the purchase order history, you can see there is a 101 document for 10 laptops. Then this is the return delivery document 122 movement type for 2 laptops in a negative sign, that is this has been returned, and then there is a subsequent delivery with 2 laptops. Okay, so in this way you can post a return delivery, and then you can post a subsequent delivery. Now let us see a case where you do 2-step GR, that is you first post a 103 document and then you post a 105 document. Now to do that, we'll just copy this PO line and we'll create a new line here and we'll save. Now this time what we'll do is, for item 20, first we'll post a 103 document. As you know, in a 2-step process, first we post a 103 document. So let's do that. So we'll go to MIRO, and then we'll select goods receipt. We'll enter the PO number, enter the item 20 here, and here we'll change the movement type to 103. Now this we have already covered in our last video, what is 2-step and single step GR. If you haven't seen that video, then I have kept the link in the description, you can check there. So let's post this 103 document. So we'll press enter, and for 10 quantity we'll post this. Now at this juncture, let's say that the material is rejected. That is, you have received in your GR block stock, you have received the material for inspection, and during the inspection, two of the laptops were rejected. So now what we have to do is, we have to post a return delivery against this 103 document only. We have not yet created the GR through 105. At 103 stage only, we are going to do the return delivery process. So let's do that. So what we'll do is, we'll select return delivery here. And here we have to enter 103 document. Now if we press enter, you can see system gives a new movement type here. So for 103, the return delivery movement type is 124. This is very important, and you have to remember that for 101, the return delivery movement type was 122. For 103, the return delivery movement type is 124. Okay. So here we'll click on item OK, and then we can change the quantity. This quantity will be the quantity which has been rejected while inspection of the material, because you are rejecting the material after 103 itself. Okay. So here we'll enter quantity as 2 and we'll post this document. Again, for 124, you have to enter reason for movement. So we'll go to this field and we'll enter a reason for movement and we'll post. Now, will it lead to posting of any financial document? The answer is no, because since during posting of 103, no financial document gets posted, so during its return delivery also, that is through movement type 124, no financial document will get posted. If we see this, if we go to display of this document and we'll go to document info and click here, you can see no subsequent document found in accounting, because 124 is a return delivery movement type for 103. Okay, so in both these movement types, no financial document gets posted. Now let's say that you are creating the 105 for the remaining quantity, that is for 8 quantity which has been accepted, we are going to create the GR. So what we'll do is, again we'll select the release GR block stock. We'll enter the 103 document here. So let's go to the purchase order. And in item 20, let's select this 103 document. So you can see here 103 was created and then 124 was created. Now you cannot see quantity here. To see the quantity, we have to select block stock here. And then you can see 10 was for 103 and 2 you have returned to the vendor. Okay. So we'll select this 103 document here. And we'll enter in the material document here and press enter. So you can see movement type is 105 and quantity is, now we have to change it to 8. Okay, because we are only accepting the 8 laptops. For 2 laptops, we have already posted 124 here. So we'll click on item OK and then we'll post. So we'll have to enter a storage location because we are doing the GR, and then we'll post. So now you can see we have done GR for 8 laptops. Now let's say that after this GR was created, again some 2 laptops got rejected. Okay. So although you did 105 for 8 laptops, you kept it in your warehouse, but when the end user came to you for issuing those laptops, the end user told you that 2 of the laptops are still faulty out of those 8 laptops also. So now what we have to do is, we have to post a return delivery against this 105 document. Okay. So let's do that. So what we'll do is, we'll select the return delivery. And this time we'll enter the 105 document. Now let's see what movement type this 105 return delivery gives us. So let's press enter. Again you see, for 105 document, the return delivery movement type is 122. So you have to remember, for 101 and 105, the return delivery movement type is 122. For 103, the return delivery movement type is 124. Okay, so this is very important. So you can see here again, you have got 122 movement type, and I can change the quantity here. So I had done GR for 8. So I'll just enter 2 here so that I can return 2 laptops from the stock also. And then I'll click on item OK and then we'll post. So we'll enter reason for movement here and we'll post. Now let us see in the purchase order history what all activities has been done for this PO item 20. So we'll go to PO display, and for item 20, you can see first we created a 103, then we returned some laptops at the 103 stage itself. Then we created GR for 8 quantities which were accepted, and then we returned 2 more after the 105 creation. Okay. So net you have received 6 laptops in your stock, and for 2 laptops you have returned at this stage, and 2 laptops you have returned at this stage. Okay. Now if you do a subsequent delivery for this document, what will happen? Let's see. So let's post a subsequent delivery for the 124 document. Okay. So we'll select subsequent delivery and we'll enter the 124 document here. Now you see what is the movement type. So system understands that if you are doing a subsequent delivery for a 124 document which got created by posting a return delivery against 103, the subsequent delivery will lead to a posting of movement type 103. Because this got originated from 103, so again we have to post 103 only. So now let's see what happens if we do a subsequent delivery against the 122 document which was created against return delivery for 105 document. Okay, so we'll have to go to the purchase order, and then we'll select this 122 document here, and we'll have to again go to MIRO, select subsequent delivery, and this time we'll enter the 122 document here. Now this 122 was created against 105, but let's see what happens if we do a subsequent delivery. So if I press enter, system will take movement type as 101 and not 105. This is very important. So if you directly do a subsequent delivery against any 122 document, system will always pick movement type as 101. Now we have already discussed two scenarios. One is return delivery against single step GR, and then return delivery against two step GR. Now let us see if we do the invoice processing also. Let's say that you have done the GR of the material, and then you have processed the invoice also through MIRO, and then the material is returned to the vendor. Okay, then how we have to do the return delivery process? Let's do that. So now let's again go to that purchase order, and this time I'm going to create a third line here. So let's copy this line and let's save. Now first what we'll do is we'll create the GR for this item 30. So now we'll do the GR for item 30 of this PO. So we'll go to MyGo, then we'll enter the purchase order here, then item 30, and this time we're going to do GR with movement type 101 only. So we'll press enter here, and then we'll enter the storage location, and then we'll post this document. So you can see the GR has been posted. So in the next step, what we'll do is we'll process the invoice of the vendor. Now let's process the invoice of this vendor. So we'll go to T code MIRO, then we'll enter invoice date, reference number, and here we'll enter the purchase order number and item 30 of the PO for which we have done the GR. So you can see here 10 quantity has come with the amount here. Now we'll enter the amount here also. We'll click on calculate tax, enter baseline date, and then enter amount here, and then we'll simulate. So you can see we are creating the liability of the vendor and then clearing the GRIR and posting a tax entry. Okay, so we'll post this. So you can see the MIRO document has been posted. Let's verify in the PO history. So if you go to item 30, you can see here the GR has been created and the invoice entry has been done. Now let us say that the two laptops have been rejected. Okay, after you have processed the liability of the vendor also. So now what we have to do is we have to do the return delivery of the two laptops, and then we have to do the reversal of the MIRO entry also for two laptops. Okay, these two steps we have to do. So for doing the reversal of the MIRO process, what we have to do is we have to post a credit memo. Okay, so to post the credit memo, we have to go to T code MIRO again, and this time we have to select credit memo here. Okay, so we'll enter credit memo, enter the invoice date here. We have to enter a reference here. Let's say we enter credit memo here. So this is the credit memo which vendor will provide you for those two laptops. Okay. Then we have to enter the purchase order and item 30 here. Press enter and we can change the quantity to 2 here. And we have to enter the amount for these two laptops. Then enter a baseline date. And here we have to enter the amount for which the credit note has to be posted. Okay, so enter 22,000 here. And then we'll simulate. Now you see the vendor liability is being reversed. Okay, GRIR clearing is also being reversed and the tax entry is also being reversed, and these reversal amounts are for 2 laptops. Okay, earlier you saw that the vendor liability was created for 10 laptops. Now when we are posting the credit memo, the reversal of this amount is happening for 2 laptops only. Okay, so let's post this document. Now you see the credit memo has been posted. If you want to verify, you can verify in the purchase order history. So if you go to item 13 again, in the PO history, you can see invoice receipt for 10 and a reversal for 2 quantity. Okay. Now if we see the liability of the vendor also, let's see the liability here. So we go to FBL 1N. And we'll execute the open items. So you can see here, this was the liability which got created when we posted MIRO for 10 laptops. Okay. And this entry is created when we posted the credit memo. So you have a negative entry, that is the liability, and you have a positive entry, that is reversal of the liability. So your net liability becomes the amount for 10 laptops minus the amount for 2 laptops which you have returned to the vendor. But still we have only posted the credit memo. We have not posted the return delivery yet. So to post the return delivery, what we have to do is, again we have to go to MIGO, select return delivery and enter the 101 document here. So we'll go to the purchase order and here is the 101 document. So we have to copy this document here and then enter it here. So you can see here already the document has been selected. So we'll press enter and now we can return the laptop from the vendor. That is, we can post a return delivery for 2 quantity here. So we'll enter 2 here, click on item OK and we'll post. So again we have to enter some reason for movement and then post. So you saw we posted a GR document through 101 movement type. Then we posted a invoice processing also through MIRO for 10 quantity. Then we returned 2 laptops to the vendor. So first we posted a credit memo. We asked the vendor to provide credit memo for 2 laptops. And that credit memo we posted through MIRO by selecting the credit memo option, and we enter the quantity and value for that particular credit memo. Okay. Now once we posted the credit memo, then we have to post the return delivery through movement type 122, which we posted through MIGO. Okay. So this is the whole process. Now in our fourth scenario, what we'll do is we'll post the GR of the laptop and then we will issue the laptops. Okay. Now let's say that you have issued the material to the plant, and at the plant itself, some of the laptops get rejected. So now you do not have any stock because you have issued them. And then after issuing those laptops, you have found that some of the laptops are rejected. So in that case, first what we'll have to do is we'll have to reverse that issue document and then we will have to post the return delivery. Okay, so let's do that. Now in this purchase order, what we'll do is we'll add a new item here. So let's add a new item. Let's say that we are buying some bearings from the vendor. So enter the quantity, enter the plant, and then we'll save this purchase order. And now for this line item, we'll post the GR. So we'll go to MIGO, then goods receipt, and then we'll enter the purchase order item 40 here. Okay. So we are going to do GR for 10 bearings here. Let's enter the storage location and post. Now we have received these 10 bearings in our stock. Let's verify in MMBE also. So you can see 10 bearings are available in the stock. Now what has happened is we have issued these bearings to the plant. So let's issue first. So what we'll do is we'll go to MIRO again, and then we'll do goods issue, and then we'll enter the movement type as 201. We'll enter the material code, the quantity, the plant and storage location, and we'll post. We'll have to enter a cost center and we'll post. Now let's verify the stock. Now you see there is no stock of bearings available. Now let's say that after these 10 bearings were issued to the plant, at the plant itself, some of the bearings got rejected. Let's say the 2 bearings got rejected after getting issued to the plant. Okay, after getting issued to the shop floor. So now what we have to do is, since we do not have any stock, when we post the return delivery, system will give us an error. Let's see what error will come. So let's go to MIRO again. And this time we'll select the return delivery, and we have to enter the 101 document for bearing. So we'll go to the purchase order. And for item 40, we will select this 101 document. And we'll enter it here. And you can see here the movement type is 122. 2 bearings we are going to return to the vendor. Let's see what happens. Now let's click on check. Let's enter reason for movement also, and let's check this document. Now you see system gives you an error that deficit of SL unrestricted use 2 each for this material, plant and storage location. Now what has happened? You are going to post a return delivery, but you do not have any stock. Always remember that when you post movement type 122, system is going to reduce your inventory. But for reducing the inventory, the stock should be there. Now in this case, because you have issued the bearings, you do not have any bearing in your stock, and then you are posting a return delivery, system is telling you that there is a deficit of stock. So now what we can do? First we'll have to reverse the 201 document, that is the issue document that we posted. Okay. So now we have to reverse for partial quantity, that is we have to post a 202 document for 2 quantity of this bearing. So what we'll do is we'll go to MIRO. We'll select goods issue here, select other, and here we'll select 202. Then we'll enter the material code. Here we'll enter the quantity which we are going to receive back from the plant. Okay. So we'll enter 2 here, enter the plant, the storage location, and we'll post this document. And we'll have to enter account assignment also, and we'll post this document. Now if we check the stock of this material, let's check in MMBE. Now you can see 2 bearings have come in my storage location. That is, 2 bearings have been returned to the warehouse for returning it to the vendor. So now in next step, we are going to post the 122 document. That is the return delivery document. So we'll go to MIRO, and then we'll select return delivery. And here we have to enter the 101 document. Press enter. We'll change the quantity to 2. Select this item. Enter the reason for movement, and then we'll click on check. Now you see system is telling you that document is okay and we can post. So now we have posted the return delivery after posting the 202 document. So this is the process. You posted a GR, then issued the material through 201 movement type. Then you have to return to the vendor. So first you have to reverse this 201 movement through 202 movement. So you go to MIRO and again post a 202 document with quantity as 2. That is the quantity that you have to return to vendor. And once you post 202, these two quantities come back in your stock, and then you have to post the 122 document, that is the return delivery document, and then you return these 2 bearings to the vendor. So this is the whole process where you have issued the material to the plant, and then from there the material gets rejected and you have to return the material to the vendor. Okay. So these are the 4 scenarios that I discussed. I hope that you have understood this whole concept of return delivery process. Always remember, for 103 movement type, the return delivery movement type will be 124. For 101 and 105 movement type, the return delivery will be 122. Okay. Now, in the starting of the video, I told you that I'll show you the configuration where we configure the reason for movements for these return delivery movement type. Okay. So now let's see that. So to do that, we'll go to SPRO, go to SAP reference IMG. Then we have to go to materials management, inventory management. And here you see, you have to go to movement types. And here you see record reason for goods movement. Here you can configure the reason for movement. So if I execute this, and then if I go to reason for movement, here if you enter the movement type, so first movement type is 122. So we'll select this. So here you can see these poor quality, incomplete, damage, wrong delivery, these options which were coming in the MIRO screen when we took the drop down are configured here. So 122, you have 4 reason for movements. Now if you want to configure your own reason for movement, then you have to simply click on new entries, enter the movement type, enter a reason key here, and then give a reason for movement. So let's say I am entering rejection and press enter. Now if you go back, so you can see here a new reason for movement with key 5 and the description as rejection has been configured. Now if you save this configuration, then this particular rejection key and description will also come in the drop down in that particular field. Okay. So this is how you configure the reason for movement. If you go to movement type 124 also, let's select 124. So you can see here, these are the reason for movement which have been configured, and these reason for movements were coming when we are posting the 124 document and we took a drop down in that field. Okay, let me just show you one of the documents. So we'll go to the purchase order. And we'll open this 122 here. So in the where tab, you can see this reason for movement key 1 is coming with the description poor quality. Now this was configured here. If I again select 122, so this poor quality with key 1 has been configured. So this is how you configure reason for movement. And there is another configuration where you make this reason for movement as mandatory. You would have seen that when I was posting 124 or 122 document, system was forcing me to enter the reason for movement. This configuration is here. If you go back, you can see control reason for movement. If I double click here, if I enter the movement type, let's say 122, here you have made this reason for movement as mandatory. If you take a drop down, the plus sign means entry in this field is required. So whenever you post a 122 document, or let's see 124 also, here also you can see the 124 movement type also has been configured as the reason for movement is required. So you see you have two configurations. One where you can configure the reason for movement as mandatory. Okay. And another where you actually configure the keys for the reason for movement text, where you can configure the keys and the text which will come when you take a drop down in that field and you enter the reason for movement. Okay. So this is all about this configuration and everything we have covered for return delivery process, what all scenarios are there, how we can post these return delivery documents. I hope that you've understood this video and I hope that you've liked this video. If you like my videos, then please subscribe to my channel and share my videos for maximum reach. Thank you so much for supporting me. Thanks a lot.